You don't open your phone because you want to. You open it because something inside you feels drawn to it. That tiny moment. Maybe you're waiting in line. Maybe you just finished a task. Or maybe you feel slightly uncomfortable being alone with your thoughts. And then suddenly, your hand is reaching for your phone before you even consciously decide to. And the weird part about all of this, you're not even excited about it. You already know what you're going to see. The same apps, the same feed, the same nothing. But you open it anyway. It feels familiar. And here's the thing. It's not because you're lacking discipline. You are not bad with focus. You are responding the exact way that you were designed to respond, to something that was also designed. And in this video, I want to walk through that with you. This is not coming from a place of you are being tricked and you should feel dumb about it. We are not about that on this channel. We are approaching this from a place of understanding, because once you actually see what's happening behind these apps, something shifts. You don't just feel more in control, you are more in control. So this is my part 2 of You Are Being Manipulated by Design. But this time we are going a little deeper, because apps aren't just guiding your choices, they are shaping your habits. Let's start with something simple. Why does it feel endless? You have probably already noticed this on some level. There is no natural stopping point. You don't reach the end of Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube shorts. It just keeps going. But it didn't always used to be like this. There was, at a point in time, an Instagram feed where it was just your friends. Chronological, finite. You would just simply scroll, you'd catch up with the people you actually knew and what they were doing. And then you would hit a message that actually said, you are all caught up. And that was it. There was an ending, a built-in moment where your brain could go, okay, I am done here. And that one tiny sentence, it did something very powerful. It closed the loop. It gave you permission to leave. Now, let's compare that with what we have today. The feed, it doesn't end, it expands. Suggested posts, recommended content, things that you didn't ask for, but you might like. And then instead of checking in with your friends, it becomes a completely different experience. And this is where infinite scroll comes in. It removes that natural stopping point. No interruption, no pause, no decision. So instead of choosing to continue, you just continue. And your brain loves this because the scroll is holding the possibility for something rewarding. A funny video, a relatable post, something that makes you feel seen, but it's unpredictable. And that unexpectability, it taps into something very powerful, variability reward. This is the same principle that makes slot machines so addictive. You don't win every time, but you might win next time, right? So you keep going, and suddenly 10 minutes turns into 45. And the crazy part about all of it, you don't even remember what you saw. Now let's talk about notifications, because this one is subtle, but it's incredibly effective. You know that little red dot? That tiny badge that's sitting on your app icon? That's not just a design choice. That's urgency visualized. Red is a color in your brain that is associated with importance. It makes us alert. It is designed to interrupt you. And it works. Even if you don't consciously think you need to check that, your attention has already been pulled. But here's the deeper layer. Not all notifications are created equally. Some are delayed, some are bundled, some are sent at very specific times. Why? It is because apps are learning when you're most likely to respond. If you tend to check your phone in the morning, you get your nudges then. If you're more active at night, that's when they reach you. It is not random. It is personalized timing designed to pull you back in. And I'll be honest with you here. I've turned off my notifications before. Not in a dramatic, I'm deleting everything type of way. Just quietly going into the settings and turning them off. And the difference is immediate. I felt so much calmer. It's like my phone just stopped calling for me every 5 minutes. And what really surprised me is not that I missed anything. It's that I didn't. The urgency, it disappears. And without that constant visual pull, opening an app, it feels intentional again, not like a reflex. Now let's look at something that you might not have noticed. Autoplay. You finish a video and before you even process it, a new one starts. No decision required, no opting out. And again, it removes this friction because stopping requires effort, but continuing, it doesn't. So your brain, it defaults to the easier path. And what's really fascinating to me is how quiet manipulation is. There is no big moment where you feel like you agreed to keep watching. It just happens. And that's the point. The less you are of decisions, the easier it is to guide it. Now let's zoom out for a second, because all of these features, the infinite scroll, the notifications, the autoplay, they're not random tricks. These are all systems built around one goal, to keep your attention. Not because designers are evil masterminds sitting in a dark room or anything, but because attention is valuable. It's currency. The longer that you stay, the more ads you see, the more data that's collected, the more the platform grows. So every design choice is optimized for that outcome. And here's where I want to shift something, because it's easy to hear all this and feel a little defensive or even a little discouraged. Like, okay, everything's manipulating me. Cool. But that's not the takeaway here. The takeaway is awareness. Because once you see the pattern, then it loses some of its power. Let's go back to reaching for your phone without thinking. What is actually happening in that moment? Usually it's not about the phone at all. It is about the feeling. Boredom, discomfort, curiosity, avoidance. The app is designed to meet you exactly where you are. They don't create the feeling, but they become the fastest to respond to it. And over time, your brain learns that pattern. Feeling, phone, relief. Even if that relief is temporary. Even if it doesn't satisfy you at all. The loop is still reinforced. And that is where design becomes a habit. So what do we do with that? I'm not going to sit here and tell you to delete all your apps and go move into the woods or anything. That's not realistic, and honestly, it's not necessary. Instead, I'm going to tell you ways that you could shift your relationship with the designs. Because the goal isn't to fight them, it's to understand them, and then decide how you want to respond. If an app won't give you a natural pause, build one. This could be as simple as setting a timer before you go into an app. Or deciding to yourself, I'm going to watch 3 videos and then done. It sounds small, but then it reinforces something important. Intention. Then you're not just being carried through the experience, you're deciding how long you want to stay. Those red notification badges, you could turn them off. And when you do, something interesting happens. The urgency disappears. You're no longer being visually pulled back into the app. You're choosing to open it. And that's the tiny shift that creates space. Space for you to decide. Pay attention to how you feel after. Not during, but after. Do you feel energized, inspired, or connected? Or do you feel more like drained and numb and like time just disappeared? This isn't about judgment, this is just information. Because once you notice, then your brain starts to recalibrate to what is actually rewarding to you. And that changes the loop completely. And finally, give yourself alternatives. If your phone is the default response to boredom, what could replace that? It doesn't have to be something big or productive. It could be sketching or maybe writing a thought down, or even just sitting in a moment without reaching for anything. And it might feel a little uncomfortable, but that discomfort, that's when your attention comes back to you. I want to bring this back to something very important. Design isn't the enemy. In fact, as a designer myself, I find this very fascinating because this shows exactly just how powerful design is to influence behavior. Not in a loud, obvious way, but in all these quiet, small, invisible decisions that we make. And that is actually very powerful. It isn't inherently good or bad. It just depends on how it is used. And more importantly than that, how it's understood. So if you take anything away from this video, let it be this. You are not bad at focusing. You are responding to systems that were built to hold your attention. And once you start seeing those systems clearly, then you start being able to choose something different. Not perfectly, probably not all at once, but intentionally. And that is where the shift happens. Not in deleting everything, not in forcing discipline, but by understanding design and choosing how you want to move through it. Because the moment that you realize what is pulling you is the same moment that you get to decide what keeps you. Or, finally, put the phone down and have a decision that actually feels like yours. But okay guys, that's all I have for you today. This video was so fun to make. I find all this stuff extremely fascinating. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more just like this because I make videos every single week. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye.